Live. All right, guys, what's up? I see that there's a the LinkedIn connection's not working, but we're live. And now let's share this with the X population, and then we're gonna live also on Facebook, on the YouTube channel. So let's share this around.
GMGM.
GM. Let's take 2 minutes to post this around, Matty, because this is impromptu and no one knows we're doing this.
We
So,
didn't
uh,
tell them.
um, yeah, fam, we are live with Matty. Yeah, so we're doing this broadcast, and then let's share. I think I'm gonna share the X link on all platforms, and then we'll share the rest. The rest, over. Here we are live.
Cointelegraph is asking me for a quote. Just a second.
Are you speaking with the Cointelegraph directly?
Some of them, yeah. I mean,
Awesome.
usually just individual journalists. So
Yeah, yeah. All right. Okay. So let's. So I shared it here, my profile. Let me just do a retweet about this, and then post join.
do you think
All
that
right.
state Bitcoin reserves align with the original mission and purpose of Bitcoin?
Let's touch on that. Okay, so I shared it, and what we'll do is because also no one has joined now. We just got like two. Okay, we got Heath here. We already have people joining us, so that's good.
Awesome. Welcome, welcome.
So let's kick it off.
Yep.
Welcome, GM guys. Welcome to the Web3 Creators Podcast. We're doing this session live for all of you, for all of our audience. And we have nonetheless that Matty Greenspan with us. And he is our first returning guest of the show. Yes, believe it or not, this is our show number 38. And yet, our only return guest is now Matty. So,
I
for your
wouldn't
second
advertise that too
appearance,
loud, man.
why not? Why not? It's a pleasure
It's
and
like
an
a,
honor
it's
to
like a
have you.
restaurant saying, "Hey, we don't have people who come back," you know.
I see. I see. Okay. So let me rephrase this. Matty is the first one of many returning guests on the podcast, but he's definitely the first. So welcome, Matty. How you doing?
Pleasure to be here. And well, since our last recording, we've actually done a lot of stuff together. So I can say that no, it's good to be back, man.
Yeah, for sure. And we started to get acquainted back then, and now we're fully involved in I think three projects. Right, we're doing Cora Finance, which we'll touch upon.
Yeah,
We're doing quantum consulting together as well as part of the quantum economics universe that you've created very brilliantly. And we're also doing the quantum alpha, right? The NFTs and the domains. So
that's right.
I'm very happy to help you out and be part of the journey with you. Also, I do see you as a partner with our consulting firm in quantum
And
consulting.
quantum spaces, I think that makes four. So that's yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Quantum spaces. Well, my helper was fairly small, just to set up the basic
Panel.
design, but
Yeah,
still, it gives a vibe.
yeah, exactly.
uh, so, Matty, how you doing? How you doing this morning?
Uh, Doing pretty good, I suppose.
Uh,
My kids are home from school due to the weather, so
hmm.
yeah,
So,
might have them running around in the background or in the front ground sometimes as
yeah.
we go.
And so what is let's touch upon first before we get into the charts, economic situations, Bitcoin and crypto. Let's touch upon the real ground that has been shaken. And I'm sorry, guys, for the Web3 creators that are only here for Web3, but our hometown and the whole neighborhood has been shaken since I think yesterday. No, it was yeah, it was. We got the news yesterday here in Israel, but it happened 2 nights, day before at night for nighttime, where Trump just announced that the U.S. will be taking over Gaza.
It's not gonna
So, what do you think about
It's
that?
not gonna happen. It's silly. Trump likes to exaggerate for negotiation purposes. He's
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I couldn't believe it when he said, move all 2 million residents out of. It's not gonna happen, man. It's like nobody's gonna allow that to happen. No, nobody in the international community. I don't think it would be. I don't think it would be proper either. Like, I think it's okay if you give people a choice and you say, "Hey, do you want to stay here or do you want to take a one-way ticket out, and have a home somewhere else and a check or something?" I think perfectly acceptable. But to like
Hmm.
forcibly remove an entire population who just doesn't want to leave and sees it as their homeland, I mean, even as an Israeli, that's exaggerated. You can see Bibi, like I was watching that press conference live, Bibi like grinning ear to ear, but he didn't join in and say, "Yeah, we got to move them out" or anything like that. He would not. He would not even say
Yeah,
something.
and when Trump said the words "we'll own it," you looked at him like,
What? Yeah.
okay.
So that's Trump's negotiation style is coming over the top from a position of power so that somebody like will negotiate down for a decent deal. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. That
So I'm with you. I'm totally with you. This is most likely a negotiation strategy more than an actual plan that's gonna happen. But I do think that even if that becomes partly the plan, so even if there are 300,000 out of the 1.8 million Gazans that Trump proposed to displace, that's still going to be that still changes the whole picture. And what I think that the thing that got shaking in the Middle East is that so far all the Arab countries have just ignored this problem as if this was just an Israel thing, right? They just locked a bunch of of their which previously were Jordanians and Egyptians into this Gaza Strip, right? And then said, okay, Israel deals with it, right? And so far, even through all the duration of the war, not a single Gazan has left for cross the border to Egypt, right? Which is so. I think at least that is going to bring on the Arab world as saying, hey, no, wait, let's negotiate and let's come to a deal where we don't have to absorb now almost 2 million Palestinians, but we can do
Yeah, I'm
less.
sure there
But
are people who would like to leave if they could. Probably, but I have no idea how many, are of the population would rather stay and fight than go somewhere else. We will have no way of knowing. Jordan and Egypt don't want them. They've been adamant from the beginning that they don't want them. Both
yeah,
because they want to probably want to be a thorn in our side, but also because they've caused problems for Jordan and Egypt before, like major problems, and these are seen as like problematic people who feed their children on hate, which is why the problem exists to begin with.
yeah, no, 100%, and definitely, I think the thing that really shook the whole public opinion, and what I was mentioning yesterday, is that the whole idea of the what we in Israel call the transfer, right, which is just taking the Palestinians and moving them somewhere else, was seen as such a far right extreme view that it became taboo around the 90s. Not even, it's like being for 30, almost 30 years, the word of the transfer thing was being seen as such an extreme radical idea that it became taboo. even for Bibi. Like Bibi would never utter the words like transfer, Agira Miratzon, and only he's more on the fringe with like Bengvir and Smotrich were speaking about that moving the Palestinians out. So now that Trump like mentioned it, it really like woke up the whole world. But I think in general, and we can get into maybe David Sachs' announcement yesterday as well. I think the very impressive thing that we're seeing is that this Trump presidency is so different than the last one in the fact that he is just entering the presidency in the White House like a bulldozer. Like I think last time was his like practice run, and he didn't have the right people in place. He was still kind of part of the political establishment, so he got really wrapped up in this deep state people who already just took him as a spokesperson, and I think he is much more in the driver's seat now. Like that's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, probably. I think that Trump has been doing. Just give me a second here. Sorry.
No worries, no worries. Yeah, the fam. Um, my little one is also sick here. So for everyone who's joining us, thank you guys. We have 76 live viewers. That is amazing. Thank you for joining us, everyone. We're happy to have you. We are we had a big warm up with the situation here. Uh, um, just a reminder before we move into crypto and the rest of things that are very important to touch upon. Um, we here in Israel are all waiting for our hostages to be released and to come back home. There is almost not a single program and not a single Israeli outlet that does not touch upon the fact that we are still waiting for 97 of our sorry 79 of our hostages to be bring back home. So bring them back home now. And yeah, so now back to the show.
I mean, yeah, President Trump is setting the. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Give me a
No, no
second.
worries, no worries. Yeah.
Give me a second here.
No worries. We're here. Take your time. What I want to show you guys now is I just want to show how this has been a very very weird time in crypto because mm, we have declarations from David Sachs, we have declarations from BlackRock, we have a lot of movement in the crypto scene that are all pointing towards basically good news, right? So let me just show you what I mean here. I've asked Grok to compile for me the 10 latest news in crypto. And what you can see here is that so BlackRock submitted for an European ETF, Bitcoin ETF. We have for the first time in a long time, I think ever in the US, some regulatory clarity and some working groups that are working towards bringing a crypto friendly environment. We're seeing stablecoin regulations, so an increase in stablecoin demand and production, and like it feels like all the institutions are now here. There are corporate holdings that are going to be tokenized as real world assets, global adoption. Uh, so I think what we're seeing now, and it's pretty weird, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mati, we're seeing like a huge barrage of huge like positive news in crypto And we still seeing like the prices not really pick up. So it's like the market is not actually reacting on positive news. Is this something that you would agree? Let me now share the graph, because now let's get a bit into the analysis of
Yes,
the
and I'll
thing,
tell you
because
why. So
okay.
you're correct. President Trump, in many areas, is literally changing the game as far as what a president can accomplish. I think that that hiatus of the 4 years really gave him time to sit back and plan and strategize, and he is now much more effective than he ever could have been, had he been president for 8 straight years, right? So it gave him that time to say, okay, well, what are we going to do different? What are we going to do better? And you could say even just day one, I think, is probably the most effective an American president has ever been, in their first few days of the White House. I mean, they talk about the first 100 days of a president and how that sets the tone, but actually, for Trump, I mean, he did more in the first 3 days than most presidents get done in the first 100 days.
Yeah.
He knows what he wants to do. He has the mandate from the people. It's hilarious to see all of the Democrats on the left saying he doesn't have he Musk was never elected, and BS like that. Like, yes, the American people have spoken, and if you can't hear it, then you're just like literally just out of touch with the electorate and out of touch with the reality.
No,
For
they're
the
having a
American
full
people,
blown meltdown.
yeah. So as far as everything that has been, and we're not talking about like an economy and a country that was like doing well. We're talking about an economy that and a country that was like at one point, the empire and the pearl of the entire world, of
Hmm.
the global economy, and had been actually completely defaced and degraded due to a lack of leadership, right? And a lack of good leadership. And I think even somewhat Trump included in that, on his first term. He was not the greatest president on his first term. But and not necessarily due to his own fault or whatever, but just the fact that he didn't know how to take the reins. Like he
And
was
he didn't have the right
a
people in
moving
place, right?
carriage, right? He didn't have the right people around him. He didn't know what it meant to be the president, or how, what buttons he could push. It was like somebody just shoving him in the cockpit of a moving spaceship and saying, "Okay, fly the thing," right? He didn't know which buttons to push or anything like that. And there's, and he didn't know probably about the deep, the deep government, and all the things on the background. And so now he came in. He goes, "Oh, so I need to fire the entire FBI. Okay, I get it. Let me do that, right?" And he's doing it as fast as he can, dismantling
I think
all
there's a lot. I think the thing that's unraveling now is about this USAID thing, right?
USA. Yeah, I was just about to say
Because
that. It
that
basically,
has kind of its tentacles all over the
yeah,
corruption
that is
and
it is
the
literally
bureaucrats.
a tool of the deep state, where in his former presidency he would not have even been clued into and understand that this is, a tool of the deep state to get their greedy and grubby hands all over everything in the world. And now he understands that, okay, let's dismantle it. Start getting rid of that. As far as Israel is concerned, also, I mean, a huge shift in such a very short time, I think, is going to have a real impact on the ground. And as far as crypto is concerned, um, this is like, more than, like, you would say, like the word watershed moment, right? But it's
Yeah.
more than that. It's like, watershed um, is such a tiny word in comparison. This is like literally the breaking of a dam, right? Moment where the water was being held up, and blocked and whatever, and all of a sudden, we now have a flood, of amazing, new regulatory pathway, regulatory friendliness. Um, so that's all going to play out in real time. But regulatory friendliness, and the markets hate uncertainty and blah blah blah, and now we have that kind of comfortability where people can build new projects in the United States. People can, do all of these nice things, and people can custody Bitcoin. And then seeing Chairman Powell obviously coming on board and saying, yes, I believe that U.S. banks are ready to serve crypto customers. I mean, that to me blew my mind. I never thought I'd hear ever those words from Jerome Powell in my
Yeah.
life. I thought we were going to need to change the Fed, but I guess he's got enough sense of what's required for his job security to get on board with the new movement, which is nice. But it doesn't affect prices as much as you'd think it might,
Yeah,
because
we're in the same range since November 24. Like this
so
is from
all of that
92 to
all of that has
108.
already been priced in. So markets
Ah,
markets have it somewhat efficiency. I mean, I'm not like a staunch efficient market proponent and say like all markets price in immediately all available data, which is the efficient market theory. But I do believe that, especially where we're concerned here, people already knew that this regulatory shift was coming from
yeah,
November 7th. So you can see that November, if you mark November 7th on your calendar right over there, it's actually
yeah.
before
November 7 is
on
around
your chart.
here.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly. That's where it broke.
actually,
That's where it broke the line of 73, right?
yeah, yeah.
That's where it broke out into a new all-time high the same day that he was elected, and started marching higher, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
We came to a top and, at 108 where people were like, hey, well, let's see if, it's really going to happen or how it's going to happen. And then there was some like kind of conflicting news about how the regulatory landscape is going to play out, how if it's not going to play out, and, some range trading. But more or less, we've been from November until now in this same trading range. So all of
Yeah.
that regulatory stuff has been priced in already. What
Mm-hmm.
and the reason we're not headed straight for the moon right now is because something is missing. And I'll maybe you can guess it from. I can give you a hint. What has been prevalent in 2013 and 2017, and even 2000, and especially 2020, 21, that is not present in the market today.
The money printer, global
Yes, sir.
liquidity.
Bing, 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 bing. That is a correct answer. That is super correct. Okay, that's what's happening here, and that's what people are missing. And I can share my screen with you here if you
Yeah,
like.
yeah, sure.
Um,
Let me stop sharing and let me ensure that you can share yours. You can, right?
can
You
I?
should see it in the link there.
There we go. Okay, yeah, that's me.
Hmm.
This is the Fed's balance sheet. Okay,
Right.
what do we notice here, right? So here's 2008. This is the first iteration of quantitative easing. This was before Bitcoin was even born, right?
Hmm.
2009, 2010, 2011, Bitcoin saw its hugest shift. I mean, that could be chalked up to new adoption and whatever, right? But 2012, there wasn't much movement on Bitcoin either. There was volatility and pullbacks, right?
Yeah.
This is still early enough in Bitcoin's life cycle where people were talking about Metcalfe's law and whatever. But 2013 was huge, right, for Bitcoin. It was a huge,
Hmm.
huge year. It got up to $1,000, and then Mount Gox, right?
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
can think about all of this area, right? There was
Well,
no
the still 2017 was also huge, like the run up
2017 was
to
huge.
20,000.
Right. That we can say we can definitely say was due to adoption, right? Because we had all of the retail market suddenly being aware. We had the movie The Big Short coming out, and people were like, "Oh shoot!" And then Occupy Wall Street and all this stuff, and people were just
It
getting
was the ICO boom as well. Remember that
the
Ethereum
system,
came out and that this promise of how do we going to decentralize
an
everything, you
entire
know?
new internet economy, exactly. But then here, what happened right here, 2018. Look at this. The Fed started offloading their assets. They weren't printing anymore. They were now sucking money from the system, right?
Right.
And that is what caused the entire volatility of 2018 and that crypto winter that happened there. What
Hmm.
happened in 2019? First, we saw a spike. I mean, if we could put a Bitcoin graph on this, I think it would line up fairly meticulously, right? So February, I don't remember when that spike was. I do remember that spike, which signaled that the crypto market was back on. But here's obviously the COVID money printer going on overdrive, and we know what effect that had from 2020 to 2021. But
Yeah.
look at this. I mean, the Fed has been aggressively offloading their balance sheet over the
Mhm.
last year, 2 years almost. So since 2000, even if you could say from the peak, 2022 until now,
Yeah.
they've aggressively been unloading their balance
Well,
sheet.
is that actual quantitative like tightening? Have they
Yes,
been decreasing the
yes,
balance sheet?
yes. They have been
And
quantitative tightening, but at the same time, they've been lowering interest rates over the last year. So they're able to kind of offset the move in the macro markets by shoring up capital, but also freeing up capital by way of making interest rates lower. It makes capital a bit more easy and stomachable. We could,
is that the soft landing that people are discussing? Is that what we
yeah,
would
I
call a
think
soft
that's kind of,
landing?
yeah. When people say soft landing, that's kind of what they're referring to. But
Now the
we're
two
not landed
spikes
yet.
that I
That's
see.
the point. Is that like when an airplane lands, um, you don't always say if it's a soft landing, you don't know that we've landed yet, right? If it's a hard landing,
Right.
boom, okay, hard landing. Damn it! You think soft landing, pow, hard landing, right? When if it's a soft landing, really, it's so smooth you don't even know that you've landed yet, and you're beyond the trouble. Um,
Well, which that would be inflation, right? The trouble that we're trying to settle down.
Uh, n- no, if it's a hard landing, it's not just inflation. I mean, that's like market turmoil. That's like big companies going under. That's like, massive hysteria. So that's a hard landing, and we don't, obviously hope that never
Mhm.
happens. But
So
yeah,
the two spikes that the two large spikes that I see there in that graph, they
yeah,
coincide. The 2008 one, I think, with the financial
yeah.
crisis, the crash that which sparked the creation of Bitcoin, and then
Hmm.
the 2021 that I see it coincides with COVID, right? That was I
Yes,
think
that is COVID.
March 2020,
It's exactly what it is.
and
It's COVID money printer going over drive.
yeah. So the question here is, do we need do we require another like global crisis of that sort in order for the US and the Fed to go money printer goes burr,
Okay.
or can that happen out of its own, or just can that be just okay, we need to print more money?
Okay. So your question is deeply disturbing to me. Almost as disturbing as when people start cheering on BlackRock. Yay, BlackRock is pumping our bags. Like fuck BlackRock, okay? Fuck, like the system and the bankers. I don't want them to pump my bags. It's not something that gives me a particular comfort. Okay, it gives me some more money in my pocket for now. It's very temporary gain for a very long-term pain. Because
Mhm.
those companies, they don't have our best interest in mind. And to try and cheer on the money printer, I mean, that is like literally the antithesis of what we should want as Bitcoin advocates and people who really want kind of a decentralized economy. The lower this graph goes, the better it is for the economy in general. I mean, obviously, this graph shouldn't exist. Okay, if we say
Right.
end the Fed, means Fed doesn't have any assets and therefore are not able to manipulate markets. So whether this
Right.
graph is going up or it's going down, it means that the Fed is manipulating markets, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
while all this was happening, I mean, yes, they had some level of manipulation, but not much, right? Like in a way that was positive. If you'll remember, for financial markets, from during this period until the 2008 crisis, everything was hunky dory, right? Like it was really, really good. There was an asset bubble in the housing market, and that bubble was sustained for several years. So them pushing the money in was good for some people, but it eventually led to a crash. And that's what happens
Mhm.
every single time. This money printer was very good for some time, but as soon as they even took a little bit back, it led to a crash. And that same thing plays out over and over. So as much as insofar as they're printing money or unprinting money, it is market manipulation. So should we be cheering them on? I don't think so. The better thing for me, and what I would prefer is that we have no Federal Reserve and no market manipulation. And in that sense, we can build a real economy which is based on real value, and not this kind of like um overdrive casino that we're seeing today. And that's what's happening right now. Is so many people are trying to like um, create meme coins or utilityless tokens, or just like
Mhm.
because they're trying to remember what happened in 2017 and 2020 and say, okay, well, there's money coming, there's money going out, right? There's money being printed for free from the Federal Reserve, and I need to catch as much of that money as I can. So how big of a bucket can I build in order to catch as much money as I can? So I
Yeah.
saw a brilliant meme where somebody says 2021 market, and he has a jug full of water and he's pouring it into 10 cups, right? And then it says 2025 altcoin season, and he's got the same jug of water but pouring it into 50 cups, right? So that's basically what's happening here. Only the jug of water is smaller, right?
Yeah, and now that you're talking about, I want to share this very key graph. So I think you need to stop sharing. I'll share mine,
Yeah, I can do that.
which is obviously, and this is something that for all the degens out there that we've been sharing, which is the Bitcoin dominance. Right now, here the market got really hopeful over here. Let me show you.
Yeah,
This was like the crypto market. We got really hopeful when this trend broke, right? This is,
yeah,
as if you call it in technical analysis, this is an ascending wedge. So the day that this broke down, that was end of November, coinciding with Trump's election. This breakdown over here, that was like, all right, alt season is on, right?
yeah,
Because what you were expecting was kind of this movement, right? So this flood of capital into the market and the dominance of Bitcoin going down to these levels again, that would mean that at least, like capital, at least 17 to 20% of the money that was flowing into Bitcoin would flow into altcoins, right?
yeah.
Now that did not happen. And
No,
what we saw now with the latest drop is that Bitcoin maybe dropped, 10, 10K, 12K, and then recovered. So it's a measly 5-6% down, but altcoins got smashed,
yeah,
right? And the spike you see over here, this is market reset completely.
yeah.
This is the market saying, okay, all this meme coins, all this AI agents, all the things you've been speculated on, those things are worthless. So
Yeah,
boom,
because in the
and people,
real economy, which is unmanipulated by a Federal Reserve, people start to care about their money very deeply and how they spend it and where they put it.
mm,
And it's not just a game of a casino, which tends to fester in this money market or this free money environment. But
mhm,
rather people start to think about digital scarcity and okay,
yeah,
what actually has value. Bitcoin doesn't have a yield, right? And we haven't gotten to that point. In at some point in the future, Bitcoin is going to be shunned because it doesn't have a yield. It's not like a company that has a yield bearing asset. And therefore, people are like, well, I'd rather have companies that are performing well and giving me a yield than this like gold, right? Um, this can be sustained for quite a while. I mean, gold has had many epic bull runs in the past due to its scarcity, and I think that Bitcoin can certainly, like, if you compare it to the market cap of gold, I believe we're still at Bitcoin can do something like 10x before it even catches up with gold's market cap.
Mhm.
But at some point in the future, people were like, well, Bitcoin doesn't have a yield, and therefore that's not the thing that I want to add to my portfolio. Um, but for now, in this market environment, people are really respecting the market positioning. They're looking for something that's true. They're looking for something to hold on to that's truth and that has value. And Bitcoin comes and plays that role to a T, especially in the narrative
Mhm.
of we're moving to a future where um, the Fed is less important, and we have um, more more technology based economy, and Bitcoin is now playing that greater role of cross border payment system more than ever before. I mean, I haven't sent an international wire transfer probably in 2 years. Like
Right,
literally,
right, right.
it's like that where I used to send them.
And I think that's not going backwards.
Yeah.
And what I'm showing right now is what basically represents, the mother of all altcoins, which is Ethereum. And the sad part about at least my positioning, because I'm way much more, of course, altcoin heavy since I think 2017, really. This has been the story, right? We had the huge bull run of 2021, which brought Ethereum to this new all-time highs. But relative to Bitcoin, ever since that bull run, which picked on late 2021, it's been really down only, right? This is a retest, a lower high here, and then it has been just down only relative to
It's not
Bitcoin.
only, yeah, I mean the Bitcoin dominance is showing that story, but Ethereum is having an even tougher time than most altcoins because they've
Because of the
failed.
competition.
No, because they failed to innovate.
Yeah.
Right? They
And
were
I,
the original innovator, but that's not enough. That first to market is not enough to sustain them because if what you're saying is it's about the technology, uh,
Mhm.
then technology can innovate, and technology needs to innovate in order to stay relevant.
Yeah.
Where when people would come to me and ask me about Bitcoin and can a bit better Bitcoin come along, in 2017, people don't ask this anymore because they already know.
Yeah.
But can a better Bitcoin come along and be better as far as the technology is? It's not a For Bitcoin. It's not about the technology. It's about the network effect,
Yeah.
which nobody can come in and have suddenly Satoshi Nakamoto who disappeared and this whole aura of mystery around its origin and anti-capitalistic stuff. Like now, it's kind of understood that any new altcoin that comes along, I mean, well, you have to kind of guess where the founder's intentions are, right, in order to understand where the long-term trajectory of the coin is. And Vitalik, I think that his reputation over the last few years has not been as pristine as it was when Ethereum first started as well, right? When he first started, when Ethereum first started, like everybody kind of understood that Vitalik is like trying to change the world, and that's where his head is at, and blah blah blah. And I think
Hmm.
over time, he hasn't kind of kept up that persona. He's kind of faded into the background and kind of like obviously he's sitting on a pile of Ethereum, so he's ultra rich anyways. And I think his kind of true colors are kind of coming out. And but even the fact that we're having this discussion is not good for him, right? Even the fact that we're just like saying, is he good? Is he not good? Or whatever. That you know, Bitcoin doesn't have any of that.
Right. The
So
key man risk, we call it in the tech in
exactly.
the business
Yeah,
world.
what is it called? Sovereign benefactor. I think Charlie Lee has a good term for that as
Yeah.
um dictator, or yeah, some
Yeah. And
benevolent
and
benevolent dictator, he calls it. Um
yeah,
which is like
and
a king
just
or
as you're
something, right?
saying, like Ethereum being more on the tech side, right? What we can see here is a much different story, because we see the price chart of what became the prominent ETH competitor, which is Solana, right? So we see Solana still respecting a very healthy uptrend, whereas Ethereum here just broke. Like, this was a line on the sand for many people. This was the 0.03 in relative ETH to BETH ratio. This was kind of the line of the sand. And then now that it broke and so aggressively, like, people are really questioning Ethereum's overall market dominance, right? Because
Absolutely. And for a while, it was enough to say that, it was first to market, and, any of the large institutions are going to use Ethereum over any of the altcoins because they know, they believe in its kind of permanence and gravitas. It's kind of like saying, yeah, we use Microsoft Teams, even though it sucks because, you know, any CTO who says, hey, let's try this new solution that nobody's heard of before and is way better, um, CTOs don't do that, like for a respectable company, because if something goes wrong, then you're going to then the CTO is in hot water. Whereas if they choose Microsoft Teams and something goes wrong, well, then I made the best decision, and that's Microsoft. What can I do about it, right? And he's passed on his. But we're at the point now where even with the downtimes, I mean, Solana is where the innovation is happening. And I thought,
right.
like if you would have, and I tweeted the other day, like if you would have told me 2 years ago that one day Solana would, in the face of a massive sell-off, be the safe haven, I would have laughed. I would have laughed in your face because like it didn't even make any sense at that time. But now we can see that so much of the innovation is happening on Solana, where when people are offloading their speculative coins, the easy place to offload to is to Solana, and then moving it into Ethereum or Bitcoin is another bridge, right? And a headache, and not as easy. And therefore, they're just going to hold it in Solana and wait for the market to recover and start deploying that capital again into the risky assets as that happens. So I think it's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
hugely interesting dynamic there. And it is very telling of a new market leader emerging.
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. So, Mati, let's now move into Cora and Cora Finance. Let's talk about that because we are running a pre-sale. We are at the latest, last, I think, 8 days. That's all we get left.
Yeah.
Let's let's talk about why we don't want people to miss out on this, uh, and uh, and what are they getting when they are joining us in this Cora journey.
Sure. So, first of all, I want to preface that everything, I mean, in my opinion, anyways, and I've been right about a lot. I've been wrong sometimes in my career, but I've been very right about a lot of things. And Cora is one thing that I've been extremely right about, to where we managed to really skate to where the puck is going.
Hmm.
And the more AI innovation we see, and the more this hype continues, I mean, hype comes and goes, but the more that I understand that this is the future of technology, and this is the future of humanity and economy, AI agents are going to be a significant thing in our future, the same way that I understood that the internet would be in the 90s, the same way that I understood that Bitcoin would be in 2013, 2015 era, when I was saying, look, the guys, this is the future. um, this is everything that we've seen in cryptocurrencies over the last 10 years or so has all been like a preface for AI. Okay. So, AI technology and whatever, I mean, it existed before this. It did. I mean, I
Yeah.
remember a Windows 3.11 computer that had a program on it where I could type into it and it would kind of play Shrink for me. Me and my friend had a great time with it in the 90s, like literally, I think early 90s. And it would, it was, you could have a conversation with the computer, and it was not like for us, like it blew our minds, but for today, like people would kind of laugh at it. You couldn't use it to like write out an entire legal contract, or use it to like plan a complex marketing strategy or whatnot. So but it had a personality, and that much was
Yeah.
clear, right? And it was, and we've had things like Alexa, right, who can do stuff for you, can do simple things, and Siri and blah blah blah. Shut up, Alexa. Um, but you can literally, like, we have AI agents now, have been a core part of our lives over the last, an increasing core part of our lives over the last few years, and I believe that that is going to continue. And
Yeah.
when I say cryptocurrency as a preface for AI, what I'm talking about is that cryptocurrency enables the AI agents, because
Hmm.
before crypto, an AI could not have money, right?
Right.
It
No,
couldn't.
no one would open a bank account for an AI.
Exactly. An AI can't go to the bank with two passports and open an account and suddenly start transacting. But with blockchain technology, whatever blockchain it chooses to use, at the moment it seems to be choosing Solana, um, the programming enables that creation of a wallet, the creation of the transactions at the whim of the AI. So now the AI suddenly is able to not only have money, buy and sell shit, it's able to create an entire economy, an entire economic model, and all of the stuff that we've been doing as humans, experimenting with crypto. I mean, imagine that on steroids, as AIs are going to be doing this now, right? Like,
Right.
they're able to innovate. I mean, artificial intelligence at this point in the timeline is a lot better than us in many ways. I mean, a
Yeah.
computer can
I would
process
argue
more
that we are
information
reaching
in.
AGI in some aspects if some aspects we are reaching definitely uh, AGI in terms of some of those fields, some fields like on the digital creation front are definitely being surpassed by AI,
But think
especially
about,
you know.
think
Mhm.
about all of the books you've ever read in your lifetime and will ever read, and
Yeah.
every word that you've read and will ever read, and all of the knowledge that you've acquired and will ever acquire throughout your 80 to 120 years on this planet. And an AI agent can process all of that in a matter of a minute. Everything,
and
all of
and
it.
and and not forget anything, any of it.
No, exactly. Not forget it, and be able to recall it, and categorize it, and make sure that they're understanding what's relevant and what's not. I mean, it's not we're not on that we're not able to, as humans, keep up with that as much as we try. There are
Yeah.
obviously places where humans shine, especially in human things, but as far as just processing and disseminating and collating information and analyzing stuff,
Mhm.
AIs are already better than us.
So what do you think? What do you think happens, Matty, when if we eventually delegate not only this digital creative stuff, but also when we start delegating our financial operations and our financial management to AI, because I think that is what also Cora is enabling. So
Exactly what Cora is
eventually,
built for.
what do you think is going to happen in terms of the market when most of the trading, which is already happening, most of the trading is already being done by bots, but
Yeah.
most of those bots are arbitrage bots and
Hmm.
they're slippage bots, so they're like decreasing the slippage, making an arbitrage here and there, so stabilizing the price. I don't think that the whole economy is yet determined by entirely by like AI trading.
No, not yet.
But
Mix it a little.
what happens when the majority of the market is just AI trading versus AI? Like
Yeah,
what happens then?
it's going to be beautiful. We're gonna
For
be talking
who?
for everybody, for mankind. Um, Remember how we were talking about the Fed and the Fed's money printer, and that causes manipulation and volatility. Um, that can be seen as like a microcosm of like humans, or humans are a microcosm of that, I suppose. The other way around. Um, but basically, humans don't trade purely based on logic. They trade mostly based on emotion, right?
Yeah.
And AIs don't do that, and therefore these violent, volatile market swings shouldn't technically happen in an AI run market, right? And what that means is that AIs are going to be like, we're not going to have these huge crashes. We're also not going to have these huge bubbles, right? So people get excited about bubbles and they get bummed about crashes. What we'll have is more of a flat line. I wouldn't say completely flat line, but more of a line that is
Steadily going up.
steady and reflective of true value, right?
Hmm.
So, where do humans argue when analyzing a specific stock, for example, right? They know what the value of the company is today, but they're arguing more or less, right? I mean, obviously, depending on how they keep their books. But the argument is on the multiples, right? Should I
Yeah.
pay 5 times what this company is worth, or 20 times, or 50 times, right? And that depends on where we think that the market's headed in the future. And uh, it's also very largely emotional decision, to where like people say, okay, I love Facebook, I love Apple, I use their products every day. And
Yeah.
that's where most hedge fund managers, and they really get a lot of their kind of confidence to go in on these stocks, right? Because they
Hmm.
know them, they're familiar with the brand, and they
Yeah,
feel
and
okay, like,
increasingly it's
because
becoming
they're
the person
using
in
it.
charge. Like it's becoming I like Elon, I like Mark Zuckerberg, or I trusted in
Yeah,
Nadella's leadership.
AIs don't do that. They don't care. They're going to look at the company for what it's worth, and then make a very, very cold decision about the value of the token or the stock or whatever, the bond or whatever asset is being traded. And
Mhm.
therefore, yes, there will be friction sometimes, when, especially when huge shifts happen, like suddenly a Trump presidency or something like that. Yeah, there will be volatility, right, based on real world events. But I think that in the day to day, we're going to have financial markets that are less volatile. And what does that mean for the end user, for the consumer? Is is more placid, right? So we won't have people maybe getting rich overnight on a meme coin, right? Like all of a sudden, you see these people make millions of dollars on a meme coin. You don't hear about. I mean, it's a very zero sum game, right? So for every person who made $1 million, there's going to be like thousands of people who lost 500 to $1,000, right? Who got wrecked. So I think that that just won't exist as much in a world where you have Cora to say, okay, well, that meme coin has a lot of hype today, but it might not have that hype tomorrow. You're not in sufficiently early enough to make a lot of money. Maybe sit this one out, right? Um, you'll also have Cora to come and say, okay, well, you're sending this money to this wallet, and that wallet has been associated with scams in the past, so maybe don't send that. Don't send that money right there, right now. So I think it's what's going to happen is that people are going to be safer, and they're going to have a much better they're going to have a much better user experience than they have today,
Mhm. Yeah.
and they're going to have markets themselves, which are much more free and fair.
That's beautiful. And I don't know if the fact that the volatility is going to be less, if there's going to be like less opportunity for people that spot trends, but I do think that a good market value being reflected, less emotional, more database is going to be a positive thing. And now, so the question now is, let's talk about like Quora specifically, right? We've been talking about a lot about the Quora features, so we know that once you get the Quora app and the new version, you'll be able to balance your portfolio, make transactions through just talking to Quora, analyze what the market sentiment is, even set up liquidity pools. I'll do this whole cross chain bridging and this whole thing automatically, which
Yeah,
is
so
what
so two of
you
the
know.
things you mentioned have
Yeah,
are the beta version already does. So
right.
buy, sell, swap crypto can be done in the beta version, which is now on my phone. We're testing it. You can actually talk to Cora. For those of you who want to talk to Cora, just go to Telegram. She's on Telegram. Go to @Cora Finance. She's offline at the moment. We're doing a major upgrade. She should be online later today. So @Cora Finance. and you can just speak to her directly in the group, or you click on her profile and you can speak with her in a DM.
Mhm.
But she's we're in the app. If you're logged into the beta version, you can already swap crypto, so buy, sell, and bridge
Mhm.
seamlessly. Um, Smart contract auditing and even sniping. So if you have a contract address before the token comes out, you can be first in line and execute transactions. Or if you remember, like Trump coin or Melania coin, right? Everybody was trying to get in. You could snipe something like that pretty easily and get in like first in line using Cora because she's an AI. Um, and she doesn't have to sit there and click click like the rest
Right.
of us.
It
Insufficient.
doesn't need
Ah,
to be online at the time when the
yeah,
tweet comes out, get the
exactly.
notification.
So, but those are just
And
like small functionalities. Like these are like really, really base things.
mhm.
The really
And speaking
exciting
about the
part
yeah, go ahead, please.
is when first of all, new users, right? Because you know, according to our research, 76% of people who try DeFi fail, right? Even to just uh, do something simple. I mean, never
Or
mind
the actual word is
scams and the
abandon
hacks
it,
and the rug
right?
pulls and
Not
everything.
that they failed, but they just abandon it.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's too complicated. The user experience sucked. You need to visit 4 or 5 websites and spend 3 hours just to perform the transaction. And that's after spending hundreds of hours in the Twitter spaces understanding which transactions to perform. So Quora can do all of that in moments. So even just like um, let's say your cousin comes and says, "Hey, I want to buy Bitcoin," right? And it's pretty fairly simple. You say, okay, well, download the Binance app or go to Binance.com or Coinbase or whatever, depending where you are in the world and whatever services them. Um, and they should be able to figure it out on their own how to buy Bitcoin from there. But your cousin, he's gonna get it. He's gonna get his Bitcoin, right? And there's a fairly good chance that he's gonna go, okay, wait a second, what next, right? And then he's gonna go in on some meme coin that nobody's ever heard of and lose all of his money, right? But what if your cousin comes to you and says, "Hey, I want to stake my Ethereum," and you're like, "Oh, right? Where are you going to send him? You can't.
Yeah.
There is no. You can't just tell him, "Oh, do this, do that, do this, click that." You don't have the time for it. He doesn't have the time for it. So Cora can actually just do that, right? You just say,
Yeah.
"Okay, well,
Yeah.
first thing is she analyzes the user. She gets to know the user. She understands who they are, how old they are, where they are in their life, what's their risk profile, their propensity to risk, and an AI can figure that out a lot better than a human can even express it, right? So a human can
Yeah.
say, my risk profile is 9 out of 10. But then she looks at who you are and what your goals are and everything like this. No, actually, your risk is more like a 6.5 out of 10. Um, and she gets to know what you're into, right? So if you're into AI or memes or whatever the next trend is, so are you up for looking for those new investments and
Yeah.
taking
Are
that
you
risk?
interested in this niche? Are you
And she
interested in
can
this
start
narrative?
suggesting stuff based on the stuff that excites you. So
Right.
investing has to be, in my mind, not just a matter of um, how do I maximize and make the most money and sell my soul, which I really detest about especially about some of the bigger corporations, but also like what area of the market am I interested in developing? Because remember, even with $100, when you're making an investment, you are furthering an industry. You are advancing society. It's called impact investing, and a lot of people just don't even realize that by YOLOing on meme coins, they're like, even if they say, "Well, I hate this meme coin casino," and then they actually go, they put $100, you're continuing, you're perpetuating what you hate. Um, so she'll be able to really understand and come to the user and say, okay, wait, and then do like a risk analysis, right? So okay, analyze my portfolio, right? Rebalance my portfolio, right? Let's say you have a one investment that did really really well, right? As somebody told me yesterday, like I bought this at 3% of my portfolio, and now it's 60% of my portfolio, right? So now you need to rebalance and de-risk, right? Because you don't
Yeah.
want that gains to disappear, you need to rebalance it, and Cora can just do that automatically. Whereas that's hours worth of work for a human to do if they even know how to do it. Um,
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
huge benefits of something like this that I foresee myself and Matt Rich, the CEO. I'm the COO, Chief Operating Officer. Matt Rich, the CEO. He's a spreadsheet guru, tokenomics guru. He's done successful tokenomic models in the past, and he also runs a hedge fund. So between the two of us, we've literally helped tens of thousands of people invest their money safely, and as much as we could, instill within them uh, good practices, best practices as far as investing are concerned. And so that's how we see Cora as well, as being able to lighten my load, right? And I won't have to like now teach
Yeah.
everybody from
Mhm.
scratch because now Cora can do this very scalably. And of course, the CTO
Mhm.
Kyle Lloyd he's been involved in blockchain and AI development over the last decade, and has even won an Emmy award for one of his apps. He's built over 300 different programs already and speaks all of the relevant programming languages. So literally, yeah, some of the best people in the world to deliver on this. Um, so yeah, I'm just excited. Like, for me, you know, we could, there's plenty of ways that I could, if I wanted to, leverage my, you know, standing in the market and people, or people knowing who I am to make money. But that's not where I choose to spend my time and energy. Or I'm pretty confident that in many years from now, once Cora becomes a household name, I will be very wealthy from it. But that's not what drives me on a day-to-day basis. And what I
Mhm.
really want to see is a world where, you know, 99.99% of people who enter the market with $100 or $100,000 are successful in the market.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's something that I've fought for my entire career, starting in AvaFX in 2008 as a sales manager. I was shocked to learn that less than half a percent of people who I'm helping actually make it in the market. Most people lose their money.
Yeah.
Which is when I left AvaFX, I went to eToro, um, where their success rate was much higher, like astronomically higher. Um, Basically, with the copy trader function, you can, like, a newbie can come and copy somebody who knows what they're doing. With the copy portfolios, where people can get diversification amongst assets that they're familiar with. And then actually the entire portfolio setup and equity setup of how people manage their money within eToro was revolutionary, because most platforms that are, like Plus 500 or casino based platforms, they're really designed to give the user enough rope to hang themselves as far as
Yeah.
leverage is concerned. They're designed for this because it maximizes the profits of the broker. Basically, if you're using lots of leverage, they're getting lots of fees. So if you use 200 times leverage, they're getting 200 times the fee that they would otherwise make on you.
Mhm.
So they really want, I mean, and for them, it's better for them to burn and churn and bring a new customer than to actually sit there and take the time to help you become a profitable customer. With eToro, it
Yeah.
was much better than that, but still, when I was there, I don't know what it is right now, so I can't, I wasn't, I left there in 2019, so, 5.5 years ago. Um, what it was still less than 50% of
Yeah.
customers who come in, and that's much better than half a percent, like way
For
better.
sure.
But I believe that by utilizing the full effect of technology that's available to us today, AI and blockchain, I believe that we can get to four nines, like 99.99% of people who enter the market being profitable. That is
That'd be amazing.
it,
uh,
it's
Good
it's
for all.
tantalizing.
Maddie, we got almost 331 viewers on our live.
Hi,
And
everybody.
hey, everyone, thanks for joining us. So, before we go, Maddie, specifically about the carry token, which is now 8 days away from finishing the pre-sale,
Yeah.
what can user? What is the value? Like, am I just betting on Cora doing good and bringing value to users, or am I actually getting some ownership on the platform, or so what is my stake in Cora Finance where I when I'm getting the CRA token?
Yeah. So KRA is a utility token. So it's not a security to where you're owning a part of the company itself. But we have done a lot of work on the tokenomics, understanding tokenomic models. We've done a lot of background research. Matt and I have been researching this together for more than 2 years. Actually, I can give you an exact date. It was from April 2022 when we signed on to Revolt as advisors and started helping them with their tokenomics. Obviously, they didn't really listen to what we were saying, and they ended up crashing and burning 4 or 5 months later when Terra Luna uh, happened. That really affected them, especially since their focus was on South Korea, even though we told them to focus globally. But ended up for us, because they ended up handing us the protocol, we did like a full post-mortem on Revolt to understand what makes a successful tokenomic model, what makes a successful DeFi program. And that was very profound for us. So, first of all, is the utility. So, what is the utility? So, first of all, you get um, a stake in the rewards generated from the company. So governance is the obvious one, right? So you have governance of the platform and governance of the fund that Core is creating. So as so obviously we've got a lot of background, or with some background to introduce, is basically that Cora has to hold positions herself as an AI in order to service customers. And the reason for that is that um, there is no accurate pricing and real time market information that she can get, which is better than holding it, holding the asset, right? So she needs to basically invest in all of the different protocols that she's advising people to acquire, and therefore, if she's holding them, then there is a fund. So basically, the KRA is holding that fund to where the people who are governing it are going to need to hold onto tokens in order to maintain it, and the people who are staking it are able to gain the proceeds of that fund. So that's number one. And number two are tiered benefits. So this is something that I learned from Lunar Crush, who I'm advising as well. Rather than having somebody pay, a flat fee every month to access your tiered benefits, actually all they need to do is hold X amount in your token in order to gain those benefits. So you're basically incentivizing people to hold for as long as they're using your platform. And that's a much better model, in my opinion. Like, Bloomberg, for example, charges their customers $2,500, $3,000 a month, right, just to use the platform. So imagine there's a Bloomberg token and you can hold, $30,000 worth of Bloomberg token, right, and have full access. That's better for the user because they now, instead of kissing the money goodbye, it actually becomes an investment, and it's better for the platform because they can now be the owner of an economy, which gives them unlocks endless amounts of funding if it's done correctly, which we've seen work very well in the past with some protocols.
Mhm. Yeah, no, that sounds truly exciting, Mati. And thanks for laying out, all the utility of CRE token. So, guys, I'm really happy that you joined us. We're we're going to wrap it up around here because we have been with you for an hour, and I'm going to edit this into the brand new episode for the Web3 Creators Podcast. That's going to be all platforms. But for all of you that you joined us live, thank you very much. Mati, thank you so much for coming live with me. And I think we had a great discussions of we ran from Trump all the way to the Bitcoin dominance and Cora and the future of finance. So very exciting times. And obviously going to see you around since we're also pushing the Cora project together.
Yeah, absolutely. And just as a last announcement, we did onboard our lead investor, which opens up our seed round, which is why we're closing the pre-seed on February 14th. The pre-seed went pretty well. A lot of the people who've been following me for many years through eToro have invested through the pre-seed round, which is why we opened it to begin with to give everybody an opportunity. But that is literally closing on the 14th. So if you want to get involved in that, just head over to Cora.finance, and you should be able to see that option there. After that, and the pre-seed also, we've designed it so that retail is getting a better deal in many ways than the seed investors because you have a much shorter vesting schedule. So the seed investors have a 12-month vesting. Pre-sale has only 3 month vesting. So you're able to get involved, and you don't have to worry that on day one the VCs are going to come and dump on you or something like that. So we've really uh, designed this for long-term growth, and I do believe that most of the people who've invested so far, people that I know and I've spoken to, are looking for that long-term growth. And the price that you're getting right now, I believe it's 54 cents on the website. Um, to whereas when once the token generation happens, most likely it's going to be about double that. So um, uh, we put together a an offer that I believe is a good one for for the general public. So those of you who are interested, feel free to hit up Cora.finance, and let me know if you have any questions or if you want to discuss it further.
Yeah, no, for sure. So, guys, reach out to us, join us both of on X, on LinkedIn, and join our Cora Telegram and the Discord. We're having great conversations there. Cora is active there; she's chatting, so you can ask her questions yourself. And yeah, this has been a very exciting episode, Matty. Thank you for coming on board.
Awesome.
All right, guys. Bye, creators. Bye, Matty. Cheers. Thank you. Okay.